Yes, yes, it is that time. It is that time. It's frickin' weekly track roundup time. It's mustache time. The fall winter mustache is here. Apologies to those who, hate that sort of thing. All right. Well, yep. Weekly track roundup. My thoughts, my feelings, my everything on a bunch of tracks that have dropped over the past week or so. They're all linked down below, so you can check them out for yourselves, whether I loved them or hated them or felt some other type of way in between those two things. In between those things. For the tracks in question. That's pretty much the point of this video. That's what happens. Yep, we also have our Turntable Lab link down there too. If you want to use that to buy a turntable, buy some records, we get kickback from it, of course. Whoops, that would be great as well. Would love that. And our Patreon page as well, where you can get some extra bonus monthly content, access to our Discord community too, if you are so inclined. That would be great as well. All right. Shorts page, if you want to check out some of the short form content we are doing week to week. And yep, also our revamped website with a whole big news section, which is updated daily. So, pretty hype about that as well. A lot of people have been getting a lot out of the revamped website, theneedledrop.com. Theneedledrop.com. All right. Without any further ado, the worst tracks of the week. There are at least a couple of those. They are as follows. This new Linkin Park track, God, it's so melodramatic. It's so bland. The new vocalist, who I will talk about in the video on the Fantano channel very soon, is just not doing anything for me. And also the Emptiness Machine. The Emptiness Machine. That's the idea. That's the concept. That's the inspo. The Emptiness Machine. That's where we're going with this. The Emptiness Machine. Seriously? Really? That's it? Like, the commentary on the track socially is just so plain and so vague and so uninspired. It's just baffling. Yeah, kind of shocked that this came out and saw the light of day. We also have one from Central C, as well as a JRK 19, which is like this bilingual drill cut that it's kind of obnoxious, honestly. Really not getting a whole lot out of it, though. I'm sure Central C fans are going crazy. We can say that. All right. The tracks I was met on, not crazy about myself, but you might like them more than me. They are as follows. We have one from Sexyy Red, who shockingly I was just not really crazy about on this new track, You Know What to Do. I mean, it's not terrible, but maybe it's just a bit too kind of synthy and clubby. As far as like what I look for in a Sexyy Red track, you know? I mean, I have, underplayed some of her singles before that I ended up kind of liking a little bit further down the road, but I don't know if this is going to be one of them, honestly. Moving on, though. We also have a new one from A$AP Rocky with J. Cole in the mix as well. Ruby Rosary is the name of the track. And, I kind of feel like J. Cole does pretty well on this track, but I just don't know if this type of instrumental in this, like, mood is Rocky's vibe. It like if it's his strong suit, you know what I mean? It's very dramatic, and again, J. Cole places a pretty thoughtful verse toward the end of the track, but the two verses Rocky brings to the table before that, I feel like he struggles to kind of like match J. Cole's very kind of like moody, contemplative lyrical direction that he's usually on, especially with a handful of bars that just sort of stick out as kind of jokey and weird and silly and just like not really matching the energy of the instrumental. I feel like it would have made more sense to put J. Cole on a banger, especially since like that's more Rocky's speed, but whatever. All right. Opeth, metal and prog outfit extraordinaire on their millionth album, The Last Will and Testament, is on the way very soon. I am kind of pointing toward the second single to drop from the record. It's track 3, which is just like title 3. essentially third part of the record. And yeah, it's just a kind of very decent piece of prog metal with some great chemistry between the guitars, bass, and drums. They are jamming. There's great riffs. There's awesome licks. I could kind of, I guess take or leave the vocals, which I'm not super crazy about in the grander scheme of things. But, at least the band is sounding good. Still sounding good. Still sounding tight. Still sounding like they're doing their prog thing. They're still like knee deep in the prog stuff. But, I will say I kind of feel like their approach, guitars wise and production wise, has a little more bite to it at this point than it did when they were kind of like first flirting with doing some old school prog stuff. So yeah, it's cool to hear some progression. All right, we also have mxmtoon, who's come through with a new single featuring Kero Kero Bonito, which it's very cute. It's like some nice, light, easygoing pop rock. No more, no less. It's cool, and the Kero Kero Bonito crossover I think makes a lot of sense. There's like some cool kind of creative commonalities there that makes it a sensible collab. The name of the track, if I didn't say, which I know I did not, is The Situation. We also have one from Megan Thee Stallion. I think seeing the success of the song Star, she's like hungry for another kind of cross-cultural hit, which is kind of coming in the form of Neva Play with RM of BTS. And yeah, it's all right. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hook I think is pretty played out, but the RM feature is fine. Megan, I feel like she plays a little reserved on this track, or maybe she's kind of, coloring by the numbers in a way. Yeah, it's just very, I think, kind of par of the course given everything she did on her latest album. Just kind of feels like a bit of an afterthought, I guess you could say. It's all right. Okay, Jungle hitting us with a single titled Let's Go Back. Jungle? Nostalgic? No way. Yeah, this like just kind of feels like a piece of indie pop soul from the early to mid 2000s trying to do something from the 70s. Is kind of the vibe. It's not bad. It's cute while it's on. I'll say that. I've never been a big Jungle boy, and this track is not really swaying me, honestly. But if you're a fan of the band, I can see why you would dig on this. We have a new one from Future Islands as well. Maybe kind of a quick little post-album, non-album single. Glimpse is the title of it, and yeah, kind of your usual Future Islands fare, though I will say what makes this track a little standout for me is that the production, especially the synths, are a little spooky. Spooky vibes? A little spooky uki from Future Islands? I'm kind of liking it. They could even get spookier if they wanted to, honestly. The tune is not the strongest, but the vibe certainly is. So, could be cool to hear the band experiment a little more in this direction. Best tracks of the week, we have some of those for you as well. They are as follows. Some bops. We have Undeath, who has come through with another taste of their forthcoming album. Disputatious Malignancy is the name of the track. And I kind of feel like performance-wise, this one's going a little harder than the last single. There's also a really cool change-up in the middle of the track that I think goes hard as hell, too. I mean, very kind of standard old-school boilerplate death metal, but the band has been sounding a little bit more aggressive performance-wise, and I think, it's paying off with a fiery-ass track like this. So again, death metal fans, death metal heads, keep an eye and an ear out for this one. All right, moving on from there. Phil Elverum, Mount Eerie, he's back. New album on the way, Night Palace, and he has seen fit to give us 2 tastes of the forthcoming album, the very short Broom of Wind, which is a kind of like, mournful short, for Phil's standards, kind of quirky little rocker. Meanwhile, I Walk is a much more dense, lush, kind of lo-fi type of dirge, ballad type song from Phil, which I am liking a lot as well. Maybe a bit more gratifying than Broom of Wind, but very exciting. Very excited to hear this forthcoming album. The first 2 tastes, meet that usual Phil standard of quality, so no reason to not be hype, in my opinion, for anybody who's been riding with Phil's music up until this point. And hey, if you're new, there's always now to start. Yeah. All right, moving on from there. We have a new one over here from producer, multi-instrumentalist, composer, you could say as well, Terrace Martin, who has a new record on the way, which has a very kind of interesting and quirked up little title. One of the singles from the album is Forever, featuring Ninth Wonder, and he's doing like a cool old school throwback synth funk thing with the talk box. It's kicking ass. It's sounding great. It's got a sick groove to it as well. And yeah, really looking forward to what this West Coast legend has to offer on this record, especially if more of it is as good as this track. All right, we also have one over here from, is this has got to be Machine Girl. Yeah, it's got to be Machine Girl with Motherfather, which I'm really loving the direction of this track over here. It sort of feels like Machine Girl's usual kind of digital hardcore, disorienting, glitchy, jittery production style, but there's something kind of like, you know, sweet and cutesy about some of the synths and some of the electronics worked into it. Plus, on top of it, on the hook, there's like this huge, almost like grungy switch over with these hyper aggressive vocals. It's a versatile track. It's a visceral track. It's a colorful track, and really excited to hear more on this forthcoming Machine Girl album. Seems like a pretty cool and interesting switch up. We also have a couple of new tracks from Jane Remover as well. Magic I Want You, How to Teleport, two great cuts, the second of which has almost like a bit of a Latin flavor to it, but Magic I Want You has like a bit of an early to mid 2000s bit of a pop rock thing going on that I think is really cool. You know, production is creative as hell, songwriting is on point. Jane Remover continues to kill it with this new round of tracks. Also, miraculously, really enjoying the new Halsey track. Sounds like a goddamn amazing little pop punk Avril Lavigne type rocker. An anthem, if you will, titled Ego, that could like most definitely open up an episode of Dawson's fucking Creek. It's incredible. You know, just how much the track kicks ass. A lot of, I guess, you know, killer vocals throughout the track as well. And the more I've been reading into it, the more I've been kind of intrigued by the multiple kind of like persona angle that she's going to be taking on with this new album. So really looking forward to seeing how, you know, all of this kind of plays out with the new Halsey. And, you know, if you guys have been following me, you know, I'm not really like the biggest Halsey guy, but, you know, some of the stuff she's been experimenting with lately has been, you know, definitely piquing my interest. That's for sure. All right. And finally, shout out to Blue and Exile, who have come through with another teaser from their forthcoming album. Blue and Exile getting another one up on the boards, which I am very excited about, given just how great historically their collaborations tend to be. But Gold is the title of the track. It's got some great bars, some killer production, and great vocal features from Nana as well as Ahmad Anwar. Some killer singing on it too. And yeah, it's just, I think, a lot stronger than the previous single, The Closer, that was dropped with Aloe Black from the album not too long ago. So, you know, things are looking up for the forthcoming Blue and Exile, that's for sure. All right, everyone, that has been the weekly track roundup. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you got some good recommendations out of this video. Yeah! I will see you in the next one. Anthony Fantano, weekly tracks forever. Mwah!